of grade 11 work. We're going to start with the quadratic sequence. These notes are not in your notes, so you have to take some notes. In a quadratic sequence, the second difference is constant. I'll explain what that means. I give you a sequence, and then the first thing that you do is you get the first difference. You must know which row is called first difference and which row is called second difference. Because sometimes I give you a quadratic sequence and then they ask you to do some work on the first differences. Then you must know which row it's referring to. Okay. To get our first differences, you take the second term minus the first term, or the third term minus the second term, etc. To get the second difference, you take the second term minus the first one, third one minus the second. Okay, is everybody with me so far? I would recommend that you take notes because when you get to the questions, then suddenly you can't remember a thing. So what's important is the second differences are constant. That means they are the same every time. Now there are certain terminologies that you need to know and understand. The first one is what is the general term and what does it look like? It looks like quadratic equation, but now it has n instead of x. Term n equals an squared plus bn plus c. And you also need three other formulas to determine the a and the b and the c. The first one is 2a, and that is equal to your first second difference. First second difference. So 2a is equal to 4. 3a plus b is equal to your first difference. Here is my first difference, the first one. So 3a plus b will be equal to 5. And then term 1, that means the first term in my sequence, is a plus b plus c. I will do an example where you will see how to work with it. Okay, then there's a paper where that formula comes from. You don't have to know that. Let's do our first example. I give you a sequence, and now I ask you what type of sequence is this? So I'm going to do typical questions that you get on quadratic sequences. The first one will be, sometimes I ask you what type of sequence is this, then you must work out, is it arithmetic, linear, quadratic, whatever. The first thing that you do is you take your differences. Now if they are not constant, don't stop there. Carry on, take another one, and then you'll see that they are starting to become constant. Now, remember, I told you that the first second difference is equal to 2a. So the first second difference is equal to 2a. The first difference is equal to 3a plus b. And the first term is equal to a plus b plus c. Then you start at the bottom. Oh, okay. Because the second differences are constant, it's a quadratic sequence. What is the general term? Alright, now you write your formulas and you start at the bottom. First get A. 2A will be equal to 4, so A is 2. Then you substitute 2 into the second formula, 3A plus B, and you work out B. Then you substitute A and B into the third formula and you calculate C. Where do I get the formula's answers? 2A is equal to 4, 3A plus B is equal to 6, and A plus B plus C is equal to 3. Then, once you have A, B, and C, you substitute it into your general formula, and then you get your general term.
You can just show that last line.
The last line?
You can just show Tn equals 2n squared plus 1. No, hold on. Can you just show Tn squared equals 2n? The last one. Yeah, can you just show that instead of showing the original form and showing your substitution, you can just show the final one.
Remember, in grade 12, you always have to write a formula, a clean one without substitution, and then you can substitute, and then you get your final answer. Okay, another question I can ask about quadratic sequences is calculate term 100, the 100th term. Now first think about the question. What do they actually ask? They're actually asking term 100, what is its value? So they actually give you undercover n as 100. Then you substitute n as 100 into your general term and you get the value of term 100. Now they can also ask you which term has a value of 51. Okay, think what they ask you. Which term, so which term number has a value of 51. So the value is 51 and they actually want n. How do you do that? You write your general term, you substitute Tn with 51, get the quadratic equation, solve it, and then you get 2n answers. Now remember, n is the position in a row. So n can't be minus 5. You can't stand negative 5 in a row. So this is not applicable. Therefore, n must be 5. So term 5 is 51. They also like to ask you questions like, they give you part of a sequence and ask you what is the next term value. Now if it's a quadratic sequence, you always start at the bottom to calculate the value of top. I know that it's a constant difference, so this one is 4. How do I get to 18? You say 14 plus 4 is your 18. Then you start there. 33 plus 18 gives me 51. Right. So this one you do first, and this one you do second. Let's look at the linear pattern. Another name for linear pattern is arithmetic sequence. You must know these names in order to know what formula goes with them. In this example, I give you the first three terms and the last term. If I do that, it means that Tn is the last term. So T1 is the first one, T2 second, T3 third, and Tn is negative 14. It has a value. Okay? The constant difference in an arithmetic sequence is called D, and you get it by calculating term 2 minus term 1. That's also equal to term 3 minus term 2. And you're going to use this when they give you a sequence with x's or p's. How do you get the constant difference when all the terms are x's? You take the second one minus the first one. That equals third one minus second one. Okay. General terminology. The general term is Tn. This is your formula for the arithmetic sequence. Now a tip. Because we have to multiply D with this bracket, always put D in brackets. Because sometimes D has a negative value. And if you don't put it in brackets and you type it in on your calculator, the calculator will minus the D and not multiply the D. So always put D in brackets. The nth term is called Tn. The first term is called A. The number of terms is n. How many terms are there? N. And the constant difference is called D. Let's look at an example. 258, and it carries on into infinity. What is the general term? So we first have to identify A, it's 2, and see if we have a constant difference. Yes, so D is 3. And another tip, always write the type of sequence that you have in a circle. We are working with an arithmetic sequence, so that you know which formulas to use. We start with the general formula for the arithmetic sequence. Substitute A, substitute D, and then you get your general term. This is old news. Now they can ask you, which term has a value of 2012? So they tell you that term n is 2012. And they want which term, so which term number, so they want the n. Okay, this is what you should think before you attempt answering. Start with your general term. Tn has a value of 2012. And then work out n. Always end with an answer to the question. Which term has a value of 2012? Term 671 has a value of 2012. Okay. The last question on this example. What is the value of term 50? So now they actually tell you that n is 50. And they want to know what is the value of term 50. Start with your general term, substitute n as 50, and then you get your answer. Okay, these are general questions around quadratic and arithmetic sequences. This is today's lesson. I'm going to do tomorrow's lesson as well. I'm not sure whether I will be here.
But you said we're going to see you.
If the bus departs earlier, no. So rather let me do everything, and then tomorrow we're not in the stress mode.
What are the chances of that happening? What is the chances of that happening?
Oh, we swim in rain. We just don't swim in thunder. Okay, tomorrow's lesson. Arithmetic sequences. This example is in your notes. It's just after exercise 1. I give you a sequence, and it has a last term. So what do we know about negative 14? It's term n. How do we get d, the difference? You say negative 4 minus negative 2. So you have two minuses, which becomes a plus, and then you get your answer. Term 3 minus term 2, so it's negative 6 minus negative 4, and you also get negative 2.
Afternoon. Would it be possible for Duncan just kind of see me before between the two?
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
Okay, now that I see that I have a constant difference, I know it's an arithmetic sequence. The first question is, how many terms are in the row or in the sequence? I know that Tn is negative 14, so you substitute negative 14 under Tn. I know it's an arithmetic sequence, so I use the arithmetic sequence formula. Substitute A, substitute D, and substitute Tn, and then I work out n. So this sequence has 7 terms. The next question is calculate the fifth term of the sequence. So term 5 is what? Therefore, I know that n is 5. So, I substitute A, I substitute D, and I substitute 5. Remember, when you substitute n, that you also do it on the left-hand side. And then you get to term 5 is negative 10. Okay, let's quickly look at your homework for tomorrow. You have to do exercise 1, numbers 1 to 5. That's for tomorrow. Also, you need to bring your extra class script and your notes and your worksheet for tomorrow. If I don't finish today, I will carry on tomorrow. Then, tomorrow's homework is exercise 2, only the first 3 sums. 1, 2, 3. Now don't leave these for tomorrow afternoon because you're writing on Wednesday. So rather do these 8 sums today, and then you're done, and then you can just study for the test